It's Nerding Out with Guns Up. Welcome to the podcast, Guns Up.
Hey, thanks, Scotty. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you here. Guns Up is a co-leader in Ice Ice Baby, or the Ice Ice Baby clans, right? We're just starting to get into it. And it's one of the save it for the podcast moments because I just kind of wanted to dig in. For sure.
Yeah, no, it's understandable. Yeah, we have a family of clans. I guess I wouldn't say we're a big family. We have three of us: Ice Ice Baby, Ice Ice Baby 2, and Ice Ice Baby 3.
And you guys are a top war clan.
I would say we're one of them. There's definitely a lot of good war clans in this day and age. I could probably think of about 20 off the top of my head. But yeah, we're in that mix of maybe the 20 or 30 highly competitive Max Town Hall 10 war clans, definitely.
And so the main clan is all Max TH10s.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a few minis up there, or guys with second accounts that are just housing them there for troops. They don't war, but yeah, even our second clan, Ice Ice 2, is just about all Max Town Hall 10s as well.
Okay, so that's got to make wars really interesting and tough. And I asked somebody, I said, any questions? And he said, how do you guys not have a heart attack? Because I'd imagine your matchups are, well, incredibly tough, but I bet it's incredibly tight wars.
Yeah, we're definitely 1 3-star, 2 3-stars usually wins a war. So, like, by that I mean, if they get 2 or 3 on us, we have to get 5 on them. So you're always within like a 1 2-star range of winning or losing.
Wow.
They're all close. Yeah, and you'll tie a lot too. That seems to be normal because people have really gotten smart with anti-3 design, and you can make bases now that are just impossible even for really good players to get through. I mean, there's a few guys. The 1 in 300 comes to mind. He got through some bases in ways I've never seen before. But that was kind of a neat learning experience because when you're warring at this level, you're constantly learning, from other clans as well as yours. And I think that's the fun of it for me. Is it a challenge? Absolutely. I mean, there's no question there. But I think I remember when I first came to Ice Ice, it was very scary, terrifying. I was like, oh my God, how do I beat these bases? I've never even seen these before. It was very like humbling. And, I considered myself a decent player. I came from a level 6, or now they're level 6, mixed Town Hall clan, anti-aircraft. And, I always battled the 1 and 2 spot since war started. I was a rush Town Hall 10. So I guess I've always faced Town Hall 10s.
Yeah.
And I got there and I was just like, wow, like I don't even belong.
Well, let me ask you about that then. How long have you been playing, and like how did you get started, and then how long have you been over in Ice Ice Baby in that family?
I started in August 2013, so I guess I've been playing about 2 years now. And pre-war, I definitely was a rush Town Hall 10 like most people. I just wanted to get those Infernos to protect my loot. And then that loot penalty came out and war came out, and it was kind of like, oh crap, I just screwed up.
By rushing up, yeah.
Yeah, because I had like Town Hall 8 or 9 attack troops, but rather than kind of back down as the Town Hall 10, I just started warring as a rush 10 against better 10s, and I took a lot of losses. I mean, a lot of 0 stars, 1 stars. It took me months to get going, to get my free spell up and all that kind of stuff. And then once I got rolling, I got my heroes up to about 25 naturally, and kind of realized that heroes were holding me back from accomplishing what I wanted to in the game. I definitely, I'm one of those gemmers. I dropped $1,500. I took them to 35 first, and then that's the time period when I joined Ice Ice Baby. And I told those guys, I was like, hey, when I get my first 3-star, I'll max them out to 40. So, like 3 wars in, I got a 3-star, and I was like, oh crap, now I got to max them out. Yeah.
Well, I'm in that boat with my heroes, but I'm just working on them now. But so you were in a clan, like just a random clan, or were you with friends, or was it like your very initial?
Yeah. Yeah, my first clan was friends. My brother, all of our friends, from college and whatnot that had played Clash.
Okay.
And that was called Beer King. So if you search them, you'll find like a level 4 Workland with 84 wins.
Oh,
I
wow.
was there. Yeah, they've kind of not won it all since the group of us left. But what happened there was we just there was a group of us that were very serious about war, and we wanted to kind of separate and do the war thing. They were more concerned with hanging out, chatting with friends, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So then we left there and went to a anti-aircraft where we were there for a good month or two. And mixed town hall wars were not my thing. I don't have anything against them. It's just I always wanted to attack town hall 10s. So if I had to attack a town hall 9, it was like depressing to me.
Oh, really? You want the challenge?
Yeah. I wanted the number 1 and number 2 town hall 10s every war. And they started kind of doing what most clans do with matchups. Bringing in town hall 7s and 8s and loading up on those. And then you have, rock stars at Town Hall 9 and 10. So it kind of became easy. Every war was a win. You didn't even have to think about it.
Okay.
So then, I was soul searching, I guess. And I was like, I have a max base. I'm got 35 heroes now. I probably can branch out. And a guy from Maine, his name's Manbear, he attacked me just raiding. And he walked through my max base with like 3 golems, a couple wizards, and his heroes. Like not even a CC, didn't drop his P.E.K.K.A.s, nothing. And I was like, Jesus, I gotta go try. I gotta track these guys down. They're good. So I just applied in and passed their interview. They liked my replays, and I'm a lava guy, which there's not tons of us out there in the world. So I think to them that was very intriguing because they didn't have very many that were real solid with lavas.
And do you then raid with that too? Like, or I mean, you probably don't really have to farm much anymore.
No, I'm just farming walls. I actually still have a few skull walls left, which is kind of funny. But no, I've used lavas to farm or / attack for 6 months now. So I went to champs real early in my career. I've always kind of lived on the loot bonuses.
Yeah.
So I was in masters as a rush 10, and then as soon as I kind of got my lava hounds and loons up and heroes, I jumped right into champs and stayed there. So yeah, lava is definitely my passion. I absolutely love them. They're a ton of fun.
And what do you run? Do you run like do you do like just lava loon, or do you or do you kind of change it up a little bit, or?
Yeah, for general raiding, it's a quad lava loon. Okay. So I use four lavas, 23 loons, 12 minions, 4 breaks, 3 archers, and 2 ice, 3 freeze. I'm sorry, that's backwards. I said that 2 ice and 3 rage.
Okay.
But I also, if you watch my cups, you'll see different periods where I'll drop by 200 or 300 in a span of a couple of days, and that's me trying out new things. So when I wanted to learn to make entry, on anti-3 bases, I went out into I believe you guys call it the wild, as I've heard your podcast.
Yeah.
And just literally just started making entry on tough bases. And, I definitely dropped cups, but I learned how to do it. So then when I go into war, I can accomplish it there.
And so like, are you, like, where are you sitting in terms of cups? Are you like a pusher, or just kind of just going for challenge, that type of thing? Like,
I'm definitely not a pusher at all. I think I am at 3781 is where I'm at for cups. And I've never actually truly pushed in my life. I think one time we had like a 2-day break in war, so I jumped up like 200 trophies. But yeah, I'm not a pusher. I think all of my time goes into war, so I just use raiding as practice and getting loot. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I liked when I was pushing, and now it's just. And I was making okay Dark Elixir, but right now, since the previous update, the Dark Elixir loot has been so good that I've been able to work on my heroes, so I'm sacrificing that way. But it's I definitely, I've been talking with Dirty Pirate and Mailman, and they're pushing and kind of trying to get me to go up. But I think that like especially. Dirty Pirate's doing a lot of like practicing on those tough bases. He's going in and just trying out attacks and climbing that way, which I kind of miss. But I know I can get a lot from the loot bonuses.
Yeah, I think it's.
But I'm on a Dark Elixir troop diet. I mean, completely, except for war.
Yeah, you burn a lot of dark, but I actually even in champs, I was still getting loot while raiding. because I think lava loon's a pretty cheap attack compared to like Go Wipe or something like that. So you're burning 14, maybe 1400 dark in attack. So if you just attack people with 700 dark and then win the attack and get the loot bonus, you break even. And most people up here have a couple thousand in dark elixir just sitting here. So
yeah, when I was up in Champ, I was cleaning up, but it was the amount of time. And of course, now this new update drops today, and the spells are take less time. We've got new spells. And so I could see how it'll be much quicker when you're like pushing or you want to be up there, because you just cut off what with 5 spells, you cut off an hour and 15 minutes each spell, like an hour and 15 minutes. And I boost my spell factory when I'm pushing, but that'll make it, bearable, I think, to like, just keep going with it. But with this update, it just dropped, and we got another air sweeper. Did you see like a lot of difference with the quad once the air sweeper came out?
I wouldn't say a difference. What happened was it changed how I attack bases. So certain layouts you can go straight into it, but certain people that got a little smarter with it kind of put it on the side of the clan castle facing the other direction, and that made life a little hard for me. But I would say worst case scenario, I maybe had to search an extra time or two. Okay. But usually for me, if I click search 1 to 5 times, I'm hitting somebody. I'm definitely not a long searcher.
Oh, really?
Because I'm not in it. No, I'm not in it for cups. And, if I see somebody with 100,000 of gold and elixir and 700 dark, I just hit them automatically. I don't even think about it.
Okay. Well, what do you think about like with another air sweeper? I mean, is that going to change your game?
Yeah, I think the guns up lava loon era is about to come to an end, because as people, as they get smart with sweepers, if they face the 2 directions I would attack the base from, I'm pretty much toast in raiding. And for anti-3s, again, they can definitely use those things to their advantage and really stop rotation for the lava loon part. So I'm not entirely sure, how that'll affect everything I do yet, but I'm pretty sure that it'll mess with me a good bit, and I'll be ground and pounding again.
Yeah. What were you? What'd you use before? Were you like the like Go Wee Wee or Go Wipe or like a variation?
Yeah, I'm a very varied attacker, that's for sure. I guess I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, so to speak. In raiding, I'm probably more prone to Go Wipe than I am Go Wee Wee, just because it's a little stronger, a little more stable. Because if witches hit bombs, it's all over.
Yeah.
But for war, I use anything and everything to beat a base. I just stare at the base for hours and try to figure out each deployment of troops and spells and what'll work. And that always gets easier with time. The more bases you hit, the more failures you have, the more you learn. So it actually gets easier, 50 wars in.
Yeah, I suppose. And what do you think about the new spells?
I'm very excited for one in particular, the poison spell.
I am too.
Because most of the time, heroes and CC troops are around the same vicinity. So if you can kind of slow them down and then lightning the CC troops and get your heroes in there to get theirs, that's going to help me tremendously. Because for me, it's all about making entry. If I can get their opposing queen down, an Inferno Tower, an air defense or 2, I'm going to destroy that base.
Yeah, DP he got his poison spell max today, and
nice.
And it was honestly it was his first deployment with it, and the first time I'd really seen it in action, and he put it out there where the clan castle troops were going to meet up, and it did some really nice stuff to those witches and wizards. It was just it's crazy. Did you think you use like haste at all, or?
I think I may, just because it only takes up 1 slot, so you can kind of use it on troops. Like, say if you're Go Wiping, you could send it on P.E.K.K.A.s just to get them to go faster, and you don't necessarily need them to do increased damage because they do quite a bit already. I'm also a masked witch guy, and
oh yeah, really?
Yeah, definitely. Rages with mass witches is a terrible idea. But if I usually use 4 frees or at least three, and then jumps or heals or whatever. If I could kind of hasten parts of that raid, it would for sure help. Usually it's about in the middle of the base because they'll get
Right.
hung up, on max walls. So you got to get them through it somehow. And if a jump takes 2 slots and you only have room for one, you can use that haste and get the skeletons through the wall.
So how long have you been doing the Mass Witch?
Uh, I picked that up right around the time I joined Ice Ice. There was a guy named Angel Cabrera, and he was the first person I'd ever seen deploy it, and he was just dominating those like open layout champ bases that you see all the time.
Yeah.
And then Roe, I saw him do it a few times, and I feel like there was a third person I'm missing that was doing it, and I was like, man, I need to learn this. This is great. So I just started playing with it and lost a bunch of trophies practicing, but I figured it out.
I'm
I've actually
fascinated by it.
Yeah, it works very, very well. Usually, we face anti-threes most of the time, but you'll see a few clans run 1 or 2 raid bases, and some of them run like 5 raid bases. And when you see those, it's kind of like a salvation moment because your mouth just goes like, "Oh, witches go!"
Nice.
And yeah, like we had it was probably about 4 or 5 wars ago. This clan ran the same base twice, so I hammered it both times for 3 stars. They were probably a little depressed about that.
Well, so what is, I guess, just your advice on like the Mass Witch stuff? What do you look for when you're going to run one of those? I'm itching to try it in war, but it's like, I'll watch some YouTube videos and things like that. But just like a general principle, like, is anything in particular that you're?
Yeah, definitely. If you see somebody with a very open layout, the big box spaces where they
Yep.
have a wall kind of around the perimeter, those are almost an instant hit. You're going to do those. Then you got to try to guess, where Teslas and bombs might be and get your golems to trigger the bombs. So sometimes you guess right, and win. Sometimes you guess wrong and lose. And the other thing I look for is single infernos. If they have one or both of their infernos on single, it's very, very easy
Yeah.
because then you can drop down to like 2 3 free spells and then run jumps and heals or whatever else. The last thing to consider with witches is mortars because they will devastate all your witches if they hit them. So you kind of, I guess my strategy is to use wizards and golems along with the witches to get the defenses down I need.
Okay.
And then I usually split up my heroes too. Like I'll usually send one hero to the middle of the base and one around the outside. And that varies depending on what I need the hero to do. But if you get witch skeletons in front of a queen, she'll stay alive the whole raid. You won't even have to touch her ability and just mow through the base.
Oh,
So,
sweet.
yeah, and then you use your Barb King to get their opposing royals down, and he doesn't take much damage either if you get the skeletons against them because they're just hitting one skeleton at a time. And I run anywhere from 12 to 16 witches, so there's so many skeletons on the board that they just can't keep up.
And are you deploying them in? Like some people will just do it as one. Some people will do it like two. Is there certain, like side by side, like 2-finger drop kind of thing, or is it?
Yeah, I use 2 fingers. I guess I got into that with Lava Loon. Like you get real good at putting balloons on either side of the base. So yeah, with witches I use 2 fingers, but I do deploy them from one central spot. So I kind of, depending on the base, use my golems to go around the outside.
Okay.
And kind of draw fire. And I use the witch skeletons to trigger the clan castle. So then the CC troops get tied up with skeletons, while the wizards and queen and king mow them down.
And you don't lure, right? I think you said that in the line chat that you don't really lure much.
No, not at all. It's not that I don't want to lure. It's just most bases that we're seeing have the clan castle so buried that you'd burn 30 camp spaces just trying to lure them out.
Yeah.
So yeah, to me that's just not worth it. I'll use a lightning spell if they have dragons and witches in the CC, which I'll see sometimes. Then you got to trigger them with a golem or something and get your queen up there to take them out.
Okay. Yeah, it's always interesting to hear, like, the different approaches. Like, even in our clan, some people lure. I've started it, especially when it's, I'm really learning, like, the different attacks, and I usually have to kind of switch it up based on the bases. But I've been doing more golem attacks, and The luring has just been, it's been something that's been working for me now, but a lot of people in the clan just don't. And, they'll just go in and take it. And I think that poison spell is going to be just amazing for that. Because now I think we're going to have a full CC of extra troops, if you're not luring, instead of a kill squad or something like that. So, I'm really pumped about it.
I see the people that lure well seem to use a 2-2-3 clan castle, like the 2 witches, 2 wizards, 3 barbs.
Yep.
They'll lure the CC out and then drop that in the corner and kind of kill the opposing CC. I think for us, most of us are going to we always use lightnings anyway for the most part. So we'll drop a poison, then a lightning, and that'll kill the CCs for the most part. But I do think you're going to see a shift where players are using big troops in the defensive CC, to avoid that. So you'll see dragons, I'm sure, as they're level 5s now.
Yeah. And what's awesome about that is, it's going to cost 8 million to upgrade the dragons, and then you've got spells going, but the level 5, level 6 clans, you can pass those out and they're upgraded. So I think this is the first time with an update with a troop that you get to play with that new troop without, having to have it maxed or having somebody have it maxed.
Definitely. That I guess I take that for granted, that troop upgrade thing in level 5 clans, because for us, we all have max troops, so you just request whatever you want and somebody has it all the time in a couple minutes. So for you guys, with Town Hall 8s, 9s, 10s mixed, that's kind of a huge benefit for you.
Yeah, it's been weird because I was just telling somebody last night that my donations have went way down. I'm still at like 2,000, but I was getting way up there in donations because people needed max troops, and now people are requesting. Like war days, I'll have a golem cooking for somebody and it's gone, so it's been a definite shift, saving a lot of money too, but, doing it that way.
Well, I'm a donator too. I don't actually, I think, I remember when we first hit level 5 in the mixed Town Hall wars and like how exciting that was for the Town Hall 8s to be able to supply balloons to me.
Yeah.
I was like, look at this, max balloons. Yeah, nice. And then, you could get a max P.E.K.K.A much easier for the Town Hall 10s that didn't have max ones. And, Town Hall 9 can give you a max golem. So, no, it was definitely nice.
So, like, when you rushed up, did it take you a while to do your troops, or did you gem those out?
No, it took me forever to do the troops. I think the only defenses and troops I bought level 5 freeze, level 5 golems, level 5 P.E.K.K.A s. I did that just for one war because we were down. And then I did my Infernos to level 3 on gems, and then my heroes. And that's been pretty much it.
Okay. And so, yeah. So then you went through the whole like training upgrade process with everything. I stopped my defenses, just because I needed my heroes up to kind of match a little bit, and just working on walls now. But, so like being like this war clan, what is your record at?
I think the famous record of Ice Ice Baby is the 103 straight wins. That seems to be what everybody remembers.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to forget that 103 straight wins. How did you guys not have a heart attack like on those wars?
I think there was heart attacks. I think there was a lot of them, and I think there still is.
A lot of gray hair.
Those guys, especially the long timers like Timberman and Yuri and Ken and all them, they are so talented. When you watch them attack, even myself, who's kind of like a medium 3-star threat, those guys are just insane, and they just always stayed on the cutting edge of attacking and using all the troops on the field. And the first loss came from a Chinese clan. I can't remember their name. I don't speak Chinese, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah.
But it was when Lava Loon came out, when the Lava Hounds came.
Okay.
And so nobody had really experienced anybody playing with them. So all the bases were designed to stop the normal go wee wees and witches and stuff like that. And I wasn't in their clan at that time when that happened, but I can't imagine what life was like when you've won that many in a row. So you just go into war knowing that you're going to win, and then, execute and do it. And then to have your first loss at 104, you're just like, wow, what the hell?
Man. I can't imagine the iPads that were broke that day. I mean, that's gotta be, that's gotta be rough.
Yeah, I put an OtterBox on mine so I could throw it. I definitely been down that road once or twice.
Just get pissed
Um,
when the attack goes.
yeah, I'm checking on our war log. I'm in 2 right now, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 losses in it, and quite a few wins and quite a few ties. It looks like we're about 60% wins, and then the 25% ties, and then the rest losses. So I think in our world, it's pretty normal. You'll see most clans like us will be at 50-50s or around that vicinity.
Yeah, I never thought about that before. That you almost have to start measuring the war logs by losses instead of by wins, because you don't get a win for a draw, do you? Like in
No,
terms of
no.
right? Yeah, I didn't think so.
So we have, I'm just going to look. We have 111 wins. So all those are, Town Hall 10 wins. And Maine has 158 and Ice 3 has 97.
Wow.
So we're all, and we're all kind of up there, I guess, in terms of clan wins. Maine is at level 6. 2 will be at level 6 in one more war, actually. Nice. And 3, I can't see 3s. I would venture a guess to say they're very close to level 6 as well. So, I think achieving that with all Town Hall 10s for the most part is pretty spectacular.
Yeah, that's incredible. So like when you guys are, so you get faced, I guess start to, talk a little bit about like organization, and so you've got all maxed everything.
Yeah, sure.
Do you guys just like go with strengths? How do you decide? How do you guys organize like in a war? I'd imagine like the chat is pretty intense.
Well, the clan chat's not so bad. We keep that pretty free for donations, but we're very heavy online. So we have different war rooms. You have your co-leaders, your elders, your main chat for everybody. And then you have the 3-star room. And, then you have some others going on. So essentially what we do is we expect everybody to 2-star base. So, people get 1-star sometimes. It's not a big deal, but we don't have to call out which number we're hitting. You can just train and hit wherever. And then for 3-star attacks, there's a group of us that'll kind of identify which bases we think are possible 3s, and then we'll start running attacks against them and kind of adjusting after each attack. So, we all share accounts for the most part. Like, we're pretty open that way. So if somebody has a good strategy, they'll just feed them accounts, or we'll give that person the attack so they can figure it out. And that's kind of how we do it. There's, I'd say, a core group of people that have 3-star capabilities. So, that group is kind of the one that's focused on who do we 3, how do we do it, what's going to work, what's not, where are you dropping troops, spells, whatever. And then the other guys, I think this is a big misconception. We actually have a group of people that their sole specialty is just 2-starring every base. And you kind of need them, because if we can get, 15 or 20 free attacks to try 3s with, then we're going to get a couple 3s. So, like when Dirty Pirate came up, he got his 4 stars, 2-starred both bases, both times. And he didn't really view that as adequate. He's like, well, I'm just glad I did that, but it was scary, whatever. For our perspective, it's very nice because you get a replay to use. So you can see like a couple Teslas or a couple bombs or whatever. And then also we do need people that kind of do that job. So we have guys apply all the time. They're like, oh, I'm a 3-star attacker. And we're like, okay, cool. Show us some replays. Let's see what you can do. But by and large, it's just trying to get people to get 2 first up front and then get us maybe 15 or 20 attacks for 3 runs.
Well, I can imagine that, on Town Hall 10s, it's, it takes a special talent to hit the 3-star. And like you said, like the planning of it, and just knowing the timing and really, being the best at the game, like cracking those bases.
It's incredibly insane. And if you think about it, like the logistics of 3-starring a max base, and it's also kind of a pain because if you misdrop anything by 1 or 2 tiles, it'll usually cost you the attack. So you have to, really know where that balloon or that spell is going to direct troops or go to. And that takes, quite a few months of playing with it to kind of figure out.
So 1 or 2 tiles, huh?
Yeah, actually, in my last war, I missed a 3-star on a base because of that. I was so irritating to me.
I
I
bet. I
put,
mean, that's
I had this thing planned perfectly, and we use computer programs and pictures of bases as well as, like, I use drawings. I actually have graph paper and I draw it out and use highlighters for each troop where they're going. And what I did was I put the 3 balloons on the 9 corner too close to the corner. So then when I dropped the next 2 on the cannon to its upper side, the 3 penetrated first and the cannon didn't go down. So then those 3 shifted to the cannon instead of going to the crossbow. And that expo is what kind of killed my attack. It shot all my lava pups down and got 2 or 3 loons from behind. So I literally lost because I dropped 3 balloons too close.
wow. So when you're planning out your attacks, then you're looking at you're doing it on graph paper and drawing everything in, right? And then
Yeah.
And you're looking at it as like one square, or I mean, just can you kind of get the gist at that point? I mean,
yeah, the graph paper kind of simulates the same squares that are in the game. Like if you ever notice, there's little tiles.
yeah.
So if you build a replica of the base, you almost know which tiles you can drop on, because I take a red line around the outside. And then we take those drawings, all of us that are doing it, compile them in the war room, and then we'll start talking about, where I think this will work, I think this won't work, what if you do this and that. So we kind of use our expertise as a group of us to nail down how we're going to do it. And it probably sounds archaic using paper, but it's the best method we got.
Yeah, well, I could see it working good because you're, having to. It would be paying attention to those finer details. I think, because like I never really thought about it in terms of that precise in terms of like the tiles itself. Like you normally have a good idea, but of where to drop and where it's going to go, but to look at it even on a more of a micro level, and think about it. Okay, I can put it on this square. That's going to guarantee, because you can sometimes just mess up a little bit, where it's going to go. But it's really interesting.
Yeah, it usually takes me after my initial attack, which will kind of be the figuring out of if my sketch is working in real life, and then I can adjust accordingly. So I'll get someone else's account that has max heroes, which most do, and run it. It's kind of the same deal. And usually like second or third attack, I can dial it in and get it. Time always becomes the factor because you're spending so much time making bases. So you can only really pick out maybe 2, 3 that look possible, map them out quick, and then pick the best one and go. But to me, it's fun. I actually enjoy that knowledge aspect of the game.
Yeah.
Because when I put balloons down on that Go Live attack, I almost know exactly the path they're going to take. And I guess that comes from just using them so much. And then same entry is always the variable, though. Getting your golems and heroes and wall breaks, all that stuff, jump spells to go right is actually a bigger challenge, I think, than the lava loon part. Because it sounds strange, but like if you put a jump spell down and you move it 1 tile to the left, it could send all of your troops to a different compartment. So you really have to be cognizant of where they're jumping to and if that's the right place you want them to go. Because if you
Oh, sorry. Keep going.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, like, if you, you're making entry and your goal is to get the opposing queen and CC troops, and you launch your golems to like a left-hand compartment instead of the middle where they are, you're going to lose because the opposing queen is going to shoot your queen or whatever. So it is strange. Even jump spells and wall breaks, I think, are the 2 toughest things to nail down what they're going to do.
Yeah, I love my jumps too. They can be tricky, and then in the heat of an attack, you start going, and if it slides off, just a tad bit when you drop it, it can do some major damage. But I enjoy them, and I know now the wall breaker AI just got updated to help. And I don't know, I still miss the old days where they just ran straight.
Yes.
They just went straight in, and that was really nice. But the queen changes. Is that something you just at that point do you go out and practice after like an update happens and the queen changes, or do you just kind of just go for it in war now?
Well, in this war we were just in, the update happened with like 8 hours left. So it was like right in the middle of war. So we weren't really sure what was going to happen with our attacks at the end. So we tried our hardest to get everything in ahead of time. And I think we got all but 7 in.
Okay.
And I didn't notice anything strange attacking after the update. But with the AQ, I'm very optimistic that this change will make her better, because I've lost countless 3-star attempts, countless raids out in the thing. Like that AQ
with her shooting a wall.
Yes. The wall shooting or just skipping heroes. Like she'll almost chase a king down and then like start shooting a building, and he comes back and starts beating on her. It's like it's so frustrating. Like she's by far the most irritating thing in the world when you lose with her. But you also have to love her because she does help that win.
Yeah, she does. And I've seen some things. I've done some raids today, and there's a definite improvement. And some people have said even that, like in some of their raids, she wouldn't even shoot a wall to get in to a compartment, but I didn't have that problem. She did exactly what you would have hoped she would have been like before. So I'm anxious to see how that starts to change. And I haven't got my war attacks in yet for this war, so it'll be different. My king's down. And so we'd war with our heroes down. Some of us anyways.
Oh. No,
I'm not too bad with the king down. You know, I'll just kind of adjust and go a little bit lower. And I've been doing pretty decent on the Town Hall 10s. Like, but the queen, that she's so hard to war without. That's just really rough.
Yeah. I don't think I've done a war, even when I was gemming them. Like I just refused to let them be down in a war. It got too hard. You know, you'd almost fail a 2-star because you don't have both heroes. So yeah. I'm definitely going to keep them alive, keep them healed.
I want to, and I kept starting to wake them up. You know, wake them up, and I'm like, you know what? No, I'm just gonna adjust, and then in that way, like, because some of our 9s and stuff, they'll want to put their stuff down, but they don't want to sit out, and I just was like, you know, guys, I know that, you know, I know it's tough. You can sit out, you know, if you want to, but why don't we just figure out how to make this work, you know, for us in this clan? And it seemed to be doing all right. Last war we ran into a little bit of problems with it because there was a bunch of us with heroes down, but we pulled out the win, so it wasn't too bad. But so, like, in terms of organization, what's that?
Oh, I was going to say good job, because if you can beat bases with heroes down, like that's pretty awesome. I mean, I think at any level they play such an important role that not having them is just devastating.
Yeah, it is. And with the queen, I have a lot of problems. With the king, I'm all right. So I'm kind of gonna push him up a little bit, I think. But yeah, it's a learning process, and then just, you know, figuring out the attacks, but it is so nice when I have them both now. I'm just like, wow, you know, I'm grinding on them. So like, how do you guys like overall like organize? You have tryouts. You said you were on a recruiting kick right now.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that work with you guys?
Well, whenever somebody joins the family of clans, usually they'll pick the right one because they read the description, you know, where they fit. But we still accept them if they don't, and say, hey, you know, try out 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever the case is. And then when you go in there, you'll get interviewed by co-leaders, or sometimes the leader too if they're on. And we're not really asking strange questions. It's, you know, how old are you? Where are you from? Because our chat sometimes can go on the dark side. So,
okay. Yeah.
I have a kid, so I'm not really, you know, I'm cognizant of not corrupting minors, I guess.
Yeah.
So you know, when we kind of get a feel for people, you know, where are you from? Because we have players from all over the world. I mean, we're definitely an international clan, and we find a lot of value in that because there's somebody on all the time. So you're never really waiting for troops or that kind of thing. And then we ask them to post replays, you know, of a war raid. So, you know, they obviously can't show you war raids, but they can go out and champs and find hard bases, you know, max bases to hit. And then we stick them right in war. Best way we think is trial by landmine. And if you look,
That's a
yeah,
good way
blow
to
your
put
arms and legs.
it.
Yeah, blow your arms and legs off. If you're still there, have fun. Um, and we have a core group of leadership. Ben Giz, Shady, uh, Yuri, Tim. Those guys have such a crisp handle on clan organization, and Mary too. They almost know a player in the first like 5 or 10 minutes if it's going to work or not, and that's
Oh,
it's kind of nice to fall back on because I could let a guy in and be like, oh, okay, he looks good, and they'll be like, well, we see this and this, and he's doing this, and I'm like, oh, geez, I missed all that. So having those very intelligent, wise clan leaders definitely helps.
yeah. So you're dialing in really to like their specific replays and kind of looking at like precision, that type of thing, and maybe
Yeah.
what they're using.
Well, I think what they're using is we don't have requirements, you have to use Go Wipe or anything like that. We want people to use what they're comfortable with. But yeah, we're definitely you can almost tell the precision they use when they attack. If they're mass spamming balloons and they're just kind of flying off course and they're getting beat on by a medium level Town Hall 10, that's probably not going to work. Like we could work with them, but it would take too long. Transversely, when you see guys using Go Wipe and they let the golems get up against the wall, let the wizards take out everything, break them in efficiently, jump them in, whatever, and then make it to the center of the base with enough troops to spare to attack another base, you're like, oh, okay, they have a good handle on it.
Yeah, nice. Uh, and then like, are you guys like teach? So you guys do a lot of the stuff in the line chat, like a lot of the strategizing. But are you guys sharing a lot of replays? I mean, I suppose with the war attacks, I mean that's gonna be a big help, I'd imagine.
Oh, absolutely. We let our everybody in the clan can kind of flow through the other clans to watch war replays, and that's what I did when I joined. I actually spent about 4 days watching every replay from all three clans, and it just kind of enlightened me to see all these different ideas and things that I had never thought of. And then I started putting them in practice, and after about a month, you kind of have a good feel of anything you're trying to do. So we definitely encourage that. And we do post replays, of our defenses, how our raid bases are holding, if guys care about pushing, and mostly our attacks, though. Like, if you wanted to learn Lava Loon, you could sit in our clan for 4 or 5 days, watch every attack I post, and just be like, oh, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, yeah. And so you just trial by fire? I mean, basically, getting in there. I mean, did you like go and study? Did you watch YouTube videos, that type of thing? Like,
I should have watched YouTube. I guess I'm an old guy. I'm 30, and I never did.
I'm 40. I got 4 years on you.
Okay. I guess trial by landmine, I started slamming lavas and balloons in different configurations against bases. And, I definitely lost a lot at first. And I just sort of started figuring it out. And I've tried 1 lava, 2 lavas, 3, 4, 5, everything. Same with balloons and minions. And I kind of settled on a strategy that worked best for me most of the time.
Okay.
And I'll still lose occasionally, but I think I have to look at my attack log. It's not very often. If I lose, it's usually me trying something different. So, players might look at my attacks and be like, what the hell is this guy doing? But I'm not shy about trying new things. And with balloons, it's all about where you place them, where they're going to travel, where to rage them at, which angle you attack from, that kind of thing. Once you get a handle on it, it's actually kind of easy.
Yeah, figuring out with the loons how many it's going to take, to take out that archer tower. And which you start to look at the hit points of the buildings. You start to look at the point defenses and all those type of things. But and I see it really a ton because we don't really do the air very much with the 10s. I just have a tough time with them for some reason, and I can do it when I'm pushing, but in war, just run into problems. But like you could see how when people really get a handle on that attack, how the precision of how many loons are sent in to take out very specific things, how can be, how good it can really go.
I mean, it's a devastating attack, and I would almost venture a guess to say next to Mass Witch is probably one of the strongest for different reasons. For hit points, it's definitely the strongest. I think witches work because you're you're not tons of hit points, but you're saving the big hit point items, heroes and wizards. But with lavas, it's kind of an easy calculation. If you're trying to take out an archer tower, you send 2. If you're trying to take out an expo or inferno, you send 3, sometimes 4. But the trickier part is figuring out where they go after that first building and how many balloons you need. Say somebody has an expo in the middle of their base, how do you get 3, 4, whatever loons into that expo? And that answer is usually a rage spell, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes you got to heal them because they're going to die going that far in.
Yeah, I've seen that a bunch in some of the replays where the ADs are buried or the expos are buried deep in there, and you run into that time issue. So how do you figure out the path thing? I mean, in terms of like, because it sounds like you're pretty precise on it. Are you doing it a little off center to make sure? Is it similar to like the hog pathing? I'm just trying to help out people that are just playing with it or, new to that type of attack.
I actually equate balloons or loons to golems. Like if you look at a golem's movement through a base, if you just put like one golem down and he magically survived, how he would move. Balloons are the same exact path. Hogs, I haven't used since that update when they quit working. Yeah. So they're probably similar, but I think the difference with hogs is they'll split up more. Like, if you send them in at one spot, they'll split and go to 2 different defenses, where the balloons are going to, by and large, go one to the other. And they'll really only split if there's 2 defenses of equal distance to the one they just hit. If one of those defenses is 1 tile away, then they won't do it. So it's very easy, I think, to drill down to where they're going to hit, what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. And then it kind of becomes a guessing game of, which spell do I use where to get them to do, because give an example, like if you're doing Go Lava, so you make entry, you kill the stuff you need to kill, and then you're dropping your balloons. Oftentimes you need a couple of them to float a different way that they wouldn't normally go. So then you have to rage the balloons above them or wherever to get them to kill their defenses to force those balloons to go a different way.
Okay, so just holding off a little bit.
Yeah, and that's where, experience and just playing with them a lot comes into play. If you use any attack for an extended period of time, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, you just become so good at it that it's almost like you're on autopilot and your brain knows what to do, where to drop, whatever. And then you kind of can focus on the spell dropping, how do I get them to do this or that?
Yeah. And that can be so tough sometimes. It just, and then in learning how to adjust if something doesn't quite go as planned.
Usually if something doesn't go to plan, I just start the tears because I know I'm about to lose.
Yeah, you just go, oh no, that didn't do what I wanted to do. What's the one thing you don't like to see come out of the CC on that type of attack?
Actually, I almost think I'm impartial to it. I think whenever they have a dragon witch combo, that gets a little dicey because you have to decide if you want to use a lightning on it to get the witch down and then use your queen to kill a dragon, or if you're going to just burn right through it, and hope it works. In which case you need to burn some extra camp space, with wizards, and then you're using less balloons. And when you're dealing with max Town Hall 10 anti-3s, like every single troop space counts for a lot.
Yeah.
So it's very. I would think it'd be very difficult to beat a base with something less than 12 balloons. I usually use 14, 15, 16, something like that. And then I like 4 hounds, but that's base dependent. Sometimes if you're getting 2 air defenses down, you only need 2 or 3. Then you can use more balloons. But also there's some strange bases where you can just take the queen down. You can't get the Inferno, but you get the AQ and the CC cleared. And then you run, 19 or 21 balloons and 3 rage, 2 ice. You can do that too. But.
Yeah. The ones I hate, where I have a lot of trouble, is when I did the lava loon, and I brought some minions too. When I was doing that a lot, I just ran into a lot of tough problems when you had those infernos that were walled in, or they weren't next to like the town hall, for example. So you weren't relying on that splash. Do you avoid them then, or do you just counter a little bit?
If you're talking, I think you're talking about like rating. In that case, I don't use my heroes that often to make entry. I actually use them in a defensive position. So I send my lava loon in at that point. The 4 lavas, 23 loons, to tear down the base as much as I can. So I try to get all the defenses in a 50% star plus an inferno or two, and then I use my 4 wall breaks and my heroes to get in and get the town hall. So I
Okay.
guess for rating, I do it backwards. I use my heroes as defensive and town hall cleanup, and then if something goes haywire and I have no chance to get the town hall, then I'll just send them around the outside and collect loot or something.
And so will you use a golem and queen on the war attack to take out an AD and the queen, or what's your priority in that?
Yeah, for war, I use combinations of golems, giants, wizards to get in, and it depends on what I'm trying to accomplish, but that's basically how you do it. And I'd say most of the time I end up using 2 golems. Um,
Okay.
but in rare circumstances, you only use one. Now, for raiding out in the champion world, that's I rarely ever make entry with golems there. But if I'm trying to practice something, if I have a new idea, then I'll take them out and fail a few times.
Yeah, you got to do the fail, even though it burns, huh?
Yeah.
Have you used Velks much?
No, I actually don't even have mine maxed out. I'm sure there's a use for them somewhere. It's just I can't figure out where.
Yeah.
I suppose if you had like an all archer CC and you didn't want to use a light spell and you could lure it, you could drag them out and then kill a bunch of them real quick. But no, I honestly haven't used them much. I know a lot of people want to, and I've seen people use them very effectively. It's just for me something doesn't work with that troop. Same
Yeah.
with dragons. I just don't use dragons that much either.
Do you think the level 5 drag will make a Town Hall 10 appearance in terms of war? Do you think that'll...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're going to see him in every clan castle you go against.
What about on offense?
Offense, I'm not sure because of the double sweepers. He might become viable to get in and get a sweeper down, so you can use the balloons. I've kind of been like figuring that out in my head. Just imagining the perfect base setup where I can't do the things I need to do on entry. Then how do I beat it? And if they have their sweepers close to the edge and the dragon, you can kind of keep them on course with some balloons or something. I think it could work. That's definitely going to be a trial and error thing that's going to take me probably a month to figure out.
Yeah, I would love to see dragons used at TH10. I thought I didn't expect them to do a second sweeper.
Yeah, that was kind of frustrating to me.
Yeah, I bet. Especially where you're at, because you're either raiding in champ or you're in a tight war.
Mm-hmm.
And with people who are setting up bases who know what they're doing.
Yeah, because that becomes an issue because when you face a good clan, there's no easy base. They're all stout. And then the targets that you would normally pick on to try to 3 might have that sweep set up to stop a clockwise rotation or a counter or whatever. And then you're kind of sunk in the water. And, I do think, though, with this update that you're going to see a whole new slew of attacks coming out. I would venture a guess to say there's going to be more hybrids of different types, similar to like how Town Hall 9s use all kinds of strange things to beat bases. And I think it's actually going to be 3-star city in about 2 weeks whenever people start figuring stuff out. And the reason I say that is it'll take the base designers about that long to figure out how the bases are getting beaten and then how to stop them from that very thing.
Okay.
So that's kind of... Go ahead. Sorry.
So you think TH10 is gonna be easier to 3-star?
I'm just guessing that based on when the previous updates happened, it kind of brings an unknown in, so people are going to be throwing things at you that you're not expecting, and then until you learn to counter them, it'll be a week or 2 period where it's probably easier to get 3 stars. I think I could be way wrong, and it might get impossible to do them, but.
No, I can really imagine that, and I've thought that with the extra spell, because with the extra dark spell, or you can take several more spells by you'd have 3 dark spells, and by leaving 1 regular spell, I think that the variations are going to be really different, and interesting to see because, we've been faced against bases and troop compositions that people have been playing with for a long time, and introducing something like these new spells into the game, I think it's gonna have a huge impact. And I think it would give that, in combination, that new spell with the fact, and I think with the poison, that the CC can become more real troop space if the things are used right.
I definitely think you're right. And I think with both of our theories that the bigger troops are going to be in the clan castles, then it comes to an issue with luring, because you don't need very many troops to lure big stuff out of a defensive CC, right?
Right.
Because, you get a giant or two in there and they're all coming out, versus when you have like 35 archers, it takes forever to get them clear. But I do think that that's going to shift how people attack. And then when you can use your CC space to completely attack the other base, plus you have spells, I'm not sure what the Earthquake's going to do yet, or how much damage the max one is, but for when did they get that Earthquake spell? Is it Town Hall 9?
I want to say yes, because I didn't realize that the new spell factory was going to be for TH8 as well. I thought it was just TH9 and 10.
Oh wow! So Brittany's got a new spell set, huh?
Yeah, I didn't realize it, and so I started a barrack yesterday. I thought it was just 9 and 10. So now I got to wait. But yeah, so then there's, that more research. And, you made me think of something earlier when you were talking about the heroes. And I think with that poison spell, placement and clan castle placement, being able to draw, if you can lure them out and put that, poison on both the hero and the CC troops, you could do a lot more damage. I don't know how much it would do to like her, but sometimes just like any little bit would help.
The poison slows them down, right? When you drop it, like their movement slows.
I want to say yes, but I haven't looked at the very, very fine details yet, because I'm going to be recording with Boneyard later, and so I was going to save it to go through it there.
Okay, if they do indeed slow, I think it'll help. I use opposing royals in the CC to actually pull my heroes in to where I want them to go. So okay. I think if I can, how they run around kind of randomly.
Yeah.
Well, if you can slow them when they're in the middle, and then they just kind of stay there, like you're almost guaranteed to get your royals in there to get theirs. So I think that'll be massively beneficial to the people that attack like I do. And there's a lot of them. That's kind of the goal, is to get that AQ down in pretty much every war attack.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look at that. I want to know if they slow them down, because if it does, that's going to be a huge benefit.
Yeah. Somebody had mentioned it. I just had seen the video, and I'm just trying to think about, like, on DP's replay, if that happened in his to those troops. But it was really cool to see those witches and stuff just die down. So you'd think it will. I'm sure it will have some base design issues, in how people change their bases. It's so hard to think at this point, like where that will all go.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm trying to figure it out so I can, next war stop us from getting 3-starred. Because, that's one nice thing with when you have a bunch of good attackers in a clan, your bases get better too, because they kind of can identify things that'll make it easier or harder. So in our clan, fortunately, there's so many good attackers that they can just bounce ideas off, and it takes us, maybe an hour or so to get a base really nice at this point. But, when you have new members constantly joining, it's always a struggle to get them to change, because oftentimes they don't understand why we're telling them to change. Because the comment I hear all the time is, these bases all look the same. And they did to me at first, and now they look completely different, even though they're all anti-3s. So I think there's just like a learning evolution when you start seeing these bases for the first time, that little tweaks with storages or whatever can make a big impact on the base.
Yeah, and when you can have somebody sit there and go, "This is how I would hit it," and they're really good at hitting, those minor details, and those minor details win them more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if somebody has an easy base, it's going to get hit very early on, and that's kind of demoralizing because when you're in the team or whatever, and your bases start getting 3-starred, you know that you're in an uphill struggle. It's going to be very, very difficult. So I
Yeah.
think half of the game is getting the threes. Obviously the other half is stopping them. And but I suppose that's not dissimilar from like mixed town hall wars because there you're still trying to do the same thing.
Yeah. I think the difference might be is that you've got so many people at the same level, in terms of like heroes and troops. If you're doing all max town hall 10s against all max town hall 10s, the 9s for us and the 8s for us, it's just about I guess it's the same where it's you want to eat as many attacks as you can, but when people start having to drop down and you play that lower side of the game, we look at it. We're ranked like 1 to 30 or whatever, but so we're playing the map that way. I'd imagine like you guys, it's equal, so anybody can hit anywhere, pretty much, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean our number 40 guy or 30 guy or whatever could hit number 1, and it happens that way all the time. I mean, I'm trying to think if anyone even maybe new people. Well, they'll ask that, hey, where can I attack or whatever, and we tell them wherever you want to. They're like, wait, what?
Yeah, because you're so used to like the regular.
Yeah, like pick on a base that's your level, but they're all at your level at this point.
Oh,
so I think that is like a little learning curve for people. But once you kind of realize that the only difference in any of those bases from 1 to 30 is going to be walls usually. So one guy might have the lava walls, one guy might have blue ones, but everybody at this point knows how to beat them. So I don't even care what the walls are in the bases I'm facing. I actually find walls are the most useless thing in the world. And I say this because my first ever war was in Ice Ice Baby against 300, and I had not max traps, like my air mines weren't maxed out, and I had skull walls, and I didn't get 3-starred. They made 4 attempts on me. They were getting dialed in, but they picked on 6 or 7 other guys over my base. So that was a credit to the guys who Talls and Tex and them guys who helped me build my base, because it definitely held up well, even with low defenses, so to speak. And I was kind of panicking when I first went there because I was like, guys, I'm going to get smoked. Like, my walls are terrible. And they all started laughing. They're like, oh, no, don't worry about it. Walls don't matter. It's just a difference of if they're going to use 2 or 3 breaks to get you. It's only 2 camp spaces. It's not a big deal. So,
yeah, that's a really good point. Because even we were just in a war. We faced off with SOAS, and there was, so our numbers were pretty even, but some of them had a little bit lower walls than their 10s. And you're right, it's just an extra wall breaker or 2, depending. And we still had, the base setup was more of the issue, and the defenses and the heroes.
Definitely defenses are what I think is the big thing. But in listening to your podcast over the last several, I'd say 2 weeks since I learned about them, I'm kind of hearing the trend that if you level up certain defenses, it carries more weight, so then it changes your matchup. And those are things that none of us even consider. If you don't have something maxed, max it out.
Yeah.
So that was kind of neat.
I'm so on the fence about that debate, because I've always been like, max it out. Just, the walls are nice, but you want the things behind it to do it, to shoot them. You want the most powerful things. It's nice you can slow them down. I just finished my Legos and started lavas, but that was where like the debate comes for me, is the defenses and the heroes. So I just stopped my defenses, and I only have I think my cannons need to be maxed, and my archer towers need to be maxed. Or there's like 2 or 3 of them that need to be maxed. But my heroes are so low that in our war matchups, it is almost beneficial for me to slow down just a little bit till I can get my heroes up, because we were running into some just crazy matchups for a while. So, but my whole thing, I think, is Supercell will always change it, based on what's happening. The walls all of a sudden have more weight, So I think people should play it like normal, how you would think to play the game. If you want to do walls because you're getting hit by this a lot and slowing it down, then do your walls, or to hold on to your loot, that type of thing. But I went to 10 as like level 7 walls, I think.
Yeah, is that the pink ones? Because that's where I was too.
No, those are the purple or blue ones. And then it wasn't until like a while ago that I went to the skull walls, but it was because we were running into these max heroes, and mine are at 15 at that point probably. And it was just like, I just need to slow them down just a little bit. Because that's where like the weakness in my gameplay is right now, I think, mostly, is that with the heroes being so low, that I need to be able to win more on defense and not like elevate the clan as much. So, but I don't know. It's always changes. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't even imagine like the debates that goes on for you guys, like trying to figure that stuff out, because I guess we're fortunate. It's just, it is what it is. And we all want our heroes up. I mean, it's painful when one of them's down.
Yeah.
And that. I remember the struggles of getting them up, and I'm so glad those days are gone. Like, it was totally worth the money spent.
Yes, a lot of headache.
Yeah. And I remember I did all my defenses. I think I had purple walls when I maxed out all my defenses. And then I started doing the skulls, and I think I have, I don't know, like maybe 10 skull walls left to do, and the rest are Legos. And I'll start on the lavas. But yeah, I remember those days. It seems like forever ago, but
yeah, and you hear the debate all over, don't do this. And then it was, defenseless. But I always think, what, Supercell always adjusts. Like whatever the trend is, if something gets a little overpowered or is I don't want to say exploiting the system, because that's not what I mean. It's more like if you're finding ways to like make things a little bit easier, it becomes a trend, people know about it, and then they adjust to make it how it's supposed to be. So
yeah, I think I kind of view this game, Clash of Clans, is like any species evolution if you look at nature. So the species that don't evolve go extinct, and I think that's the same for clans. The clans that don't embrace the changes and try to get better and look at them negatively versus a positive will kind of fizzle out, whereas the good ones are just going to be like, hey, this is something new, new strategies, whatever, let's go hammer away and figure it out.
Yeah, let's try it out and play around and see what we can come up with.
Yeah, I mean, I cashed in my corporate cards rewards, for iTunes cards, so I can max everything out in a couple of days.
Nice.
Yeah, most of our clans doing that, in one way or another, just gemming everything, because you need to have all the edges at this level, I think.
Yeah,
yeah,
that would be stressful. That would be super stressful. I also was debating about whether or not I was going to do gem my the new spell factory, and then so I can start the research. It's pretty cheap to do, but I want those spells. Yeah, just really bad.
Give it 3 days. You'll see everything new maxed out on my base.
Oh, that'll be beautiful. Yeah, DP, yeah. He had the level 4, so I'm just excited to play it. For me, I'm always like, okay, if I start doing it, I'm going to want to do it again. So, well, hey, do you want to give any shout out?
I view gems as like any hobby. You spend money on whatever your hobby is, so just spend the gems.
That's really good, especially how much time you actually spend playing it and strategizing, and how much fun it is with this game. Well, we're at about an hour 10, and we should probably wrap up. Do you have any shout outs you want to?
Definitely. I want to say two things. One, for the players that are in, mixed town hall wars or wherever and kind of want to step up to the next level, don't be shy. You'll find, I was amazed at how friendly the high level war clans were when you joined. So I would say if that's one of your ambitions is to go, see if you can make it in 3-star max bases or whatever, do it. Don't be shy, because you'll find every clan is kind of like its own family, and they're all most of the ones I've seen are very inviting, very friendly. I feel fortunate because I found Ice because that man bear attacked me. It's been a joyous experience. It almost kind of refreshed my Clash career because I was definitely like at a standpoint where I was like, how much longer am I going to play this game? Yeah. So, it was awesome to do it. And the other thing I would say is, listen to the leaders when you join those clans, because those guys, all the co's and leaders are just so talented at what they do. They almost know everything about the game. They have solid advice that if you just listen to them and kind of watch things, you'll just become a much better player.
Yeah, that's a great point, because really it's like if you wanted, war at the higher levels, you just got to be willing to learn. It sounds like, take advice and learn from the people that know what they're doing, which sometimes people in this game for some reason have trouble with, like listening or wanting to do their own, make it their own, where you can do that, but like people have such great advice. That's why I love doing the podcast. I learn so much about everything while I'm talking with people, and then in the clan we just get a great clan too. So yeah, shout outs.
Yeah, I'll give one to my boy Ben Giz. He's a co-leader in Ice. He was the guy who actually brought me in and did my interview and whatnot. So without him, I would be nowhere at this point. Who knows where I'd be in clans. Awesome. And then also to the leadership core with Yuri, Tim, Mary, Shady, kind of all the guys that and girls that gave me a pleasant experience to make it happen. So really very awesome. Thankful for that. Yeah,
that's really awesome. Well, hey man, thanks so much for being here. You can get a hold of me at Scotty827 on Twitter, or at WBSMT Radio. And then ClashClansPodcast.com. You can find all the contact information. Are you on Twitter? Do you want to shout that out, or is it you're just...
I'm not I have a corporate Twitter, but I'm not personally on it.
Okay.
I just got Skype today to do this. So
okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good place for the news. That's what I've been finding a lot with the Twitter stuff. But
I've just been enjoying your podcasts. Instead of listening to Pandora at work, I just send on your podcast, listen to the new ones, and it's been great for me.
Well, you got it at the right time, because they're all obsolete as of today. I mean, with the new spells coming out, it's like, okay, and how things change. So, yeah, thanks for being here, man. And everybody, keep it clashy.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Scotty. See ya.
Skilly beep 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 skilly beep.